Ball is 15, 20, Steve Arsenault, 30, the 20, the 10, 5, touchdown Ravens! There's punch blocked at the 20-yard line, kicked out and breaking for a touchdown!
Touchdown Steelers! Holy cow!
It's their fourth trip into the red zone tonight. Fires down the middle, he's got a man, touchdown Ravens! Oh, he threw a strike to Steve Smith Sr.
This is one of my favorite rivalries. This just in. These two teams, they don't like each other. The Steelers are a game up on the Ravens in the AFC North and have an 86% chance to win the division, according to 538.com. But the Ravens won their Week 9 matchup and would lead the division thanks to the tiebreaker if they manage to win on Sunday. Oh, Stephen A., your squad, the black and yellow, how important is it for them to win this one?
It's everything. It's everything, which is why I'm picking the Steelers to win this game, which is why I don't even have to talk about this game. I don't care about the football elements of it. I just know that when the final buzzer sounds, the Steelers had better win this damn game. Let's look at this. Let's count the ways. They've lost 6 of the past 7 games to the Baltimore Ravens, 4 in a row, including 2 at Heinz Field. They almost cost themselves a trip to the playoffs last year when Baltimore didn't even have anybody available, and they still went and beat the Steelers. Enough is enough. If you are the Steelers, a team that calls yourself Super Bowl championship contenders, you had damn well better go into your Heinz Field, your home turf, all right, in the Steel City, and act like you know what the Steel Curtain is all about. You better step up. You better handle your business. You better beat them down. I don't want to hear any excuses. No excuses. Jarvis Jones, his #1 pick self. Now he riding the damn bench for crying out loud. You got James Harrison playing right outside linebacker because you got a 39-year-old man that's got to be up in there because your behind can't get the job done. You relegated to taking special team snaps for crying out loud. Enough's enough. The Steelers had better show up this Christmas Day. I swear. They better show up, damn it. They will win this game because they have to, because if they lose this game, they're going to lose the division. They'll probably miss the playoffs, and I can't even tell you how disgusted I'm going to be. I don't even talk about it no more. They better show up. Mike Tomlin, Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. You better show up. You better show up this week.
What's steel curtain? That's a satin curtain.
You know what I'm saying. I'm talking about tradition. I'm not talking about this team. Don't confuse this, Moses.
Look, the Ravens have struggled running the ball okay. The Steelers can't, they have no secondary to speak of. The Ravens have looked better this year than I thought they were. I was wrong about them.
Not offensively.
But those who thought the Ravens would make some noise were proven right this season. But it's at Heinz Field. It's at Heinz Field when the Ravens have been a different team, and Flacco's been a different guy, it seems, at home versus on the road. The fact that this game is on the road for Baltimore makes me favor the Steelers. But think about what's at stake. If Baltimore wins this game, their chances go from extremely slim to win the division to just over 50%. I think it's like 14% to win the division. If they win the game, 51%. So they are a very hungry team, in addition to the fact that it's a rivalry game, in addition to the fact that these teams don't like each other. Baltimore has a lot to play for. The reason I like Pittsburgh, Donovan, is simply because they're at home.
You know what, Max? This game reminds me of the first game that we talked about your New York Giants going into Philadelphia. What's the problem that Eli Manning has? He doesn't play that well during the regular season. Well, we can say the same thing about Joe Flacco, about his regular season performance, because in the playoffs, Joe Flacco is one of the best playing in the playoffs at that particular time. His record speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. But when I look at this particular game, I look at more Ben Roethlisberger. The last time they played against Baltimore, Ben was coming off an injury, and they decided to abandon the run and throw the ball a lot more in that particular game. Le'Veon Bell is back healthy and one of the best, if not the best, running backs in the game. And I think they feature him a little bit more to attack that defense. Now, the Baltimore Ravens defense is one of the best defenses versus the run, and they will continue to get a little bit more than they expect from Le'Veon Bell. But what does that do? Now that opens up the play-action game. Antonio Brown. You talk about Green at the tight end position. Talk about Coach. You talk about guys now getting more involved. And for a team that's won 5 in a row at this particular time, momentum, chemistry, and flow is working in the favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're back healthy again. Stephen A. talked about a couple guys that have been benched. Yeah, but let's talk about the guys that have been playing and active. They have elevated their game to playoff type of play. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers understand the magnitude of this particular game, and I think they come out with that attitude. This is a game in which, for rival games, all week you've been waiting for this opportunity to button your chin strap up and play against the Baltimore Ravens. And they can say the same thing in Baltimore. But when I look at Pittsburgh, everything works in the favor of the Steelers. And the deciding factor of this particular game is the health of Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, that's my point. They've lost 6 of the last 7 and 4 in a row, including 2 at Heinz Field, like I echoed earlier. But more importantly than that, you're looking at a Baltimore Ravens offense that has no running game. They rank 28th in the NFL. They're going to have to rely on the pass. When you look at it from that perspective, based on everything you just highlighted, Donovan, there is absolutely, positively no excuse for the Steelers to be unable to win this game. Offensively, as elite as Baltimore's defense can be at times. You have Big Ben, you have Antonio Brown, you've got Le'Veon Bell. All 3 are healthy and playing well. Handle your damn business.
But
I think they'll put up points. It won't be 40, but I think they'll put up points. But your defense should be able to perform against this Baltimore Ravens
Your
offense.
Secondary?
It should
Your
happen.
secondary should be able to perform. The Steelers' secondary has not been very good, to say the least.
It has been very good, Stephen.
Unlike you, Max Kellerman, I don't feel the need to repeat myself 1,000 damn times. I've said enough that the Steelers secondary.
Actually, Stephen A., if I repeat myself 1,000 times, it's 2,000 for you.
Whatever, Moses. Look, here's the deal, man. By the way, Donovan, I call him Moses because of all the gray wins. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is this. I don't want to hear it. At the end of the day, the bottom line is this secondary should look relatively decent against this offense. That's all I'm saying.
Stephen A., let me add to that.
Pick a better tie for you.
Yeah, let me add to the more fuel to the fire. Remember, the matchup between Mitchell at safety and also Steve Smith. That whole deal, remember he tried to act like he was on Steve Smith's level, and Steve Smith said, you're not even on my son's level. That should get a little animosity built up on that defense to apply pressure on Joe Flacco and force him to throw the ball maybe about 45, 50 times in this game.
Well, it's important that we recognize that when I talk about the Ravens offense in any kind of negative way, I certainly am not talking about the great Steve Smith, who has the greatest name in sports. Let's just be clear. He has the greatest name in the NFL.
Way, who is the most famous
we do understand
Steve
that, don't
Smith? I wanted to know. There's a basketball, obviously Steve Smith, the former basketball player, Stephen A. Smith, Steve Smith, the receiver.
Something special. It's just something special.
But who's the most famous?
Even Donovan McNabb
who's the most popular?
I think it might be you.
Hold it.
Well, we know who the loudest is.
Just because some of us are the greatest don't mean the others ain't great. You know what I'm trying to say? It's love and enough love to go around for everybody. There's only, you know what I'm saying? And the Steve Smith is very popular. There's no bunch of Max Kellerman or Spot Kellermans walking around.
That right.
You see what I'm saying?
The world couldn't handle that.
All right, let's move on, guys. Pittsburgh's favored by 5.5. Not the only one this weekend with playoff implications. Expect a lot of offense when Andrew Luck, your fave, Max, and Derek Carr go head-to-head. So the Colts are still alive in the AFC South, but they need a lot of help. Good news is they've won 4 straight versus Oakland. Max, you think the Colts keep their playoffs hopes alive in the black hole?
The Raiders are properly favored here, but this is I thought the Giants would beat the Eagles. I knew it would be a tough, close game, and there was upset possibilities. Same thing here. What this game is going to come down to is, can Indianapolis keep Andrew Luck upright versus Khalil Mack? That's it. If they can, the Colts will win the game. But given the Colts' offensive line and given Khalil Mack's ability, it's a tall order. Look, I know everyone loves Derek Carr. I am among the people who have to give it up for this dude, especially when it matters most. But I am here to tell you, Andrew Luck is absolutely a better player than Derek Carr right now. The difference between those two is Andrew Luck has 0 offensive line and Derek Carr has a great offensive line. And if you switch those two, if you put Andrew Luck on the Raiders and Derek Carr on the Colts, you would see what I mean. The Raiders would have gotten better, the Colts would have gotten worse. That is no knock against Derek Carr. It's simply to point out how underappreciated Luck has become. No,
yeah, you sound like you're knocking him to me too.
Luck is better. Who's a better player, Derek Carr or Andrew Andrew Luck.
Derek Carr is having a better season than Andrew Luck.
Yes, he is.
Of course he has a better offensive line. Who's better?
Yeah.
Who's better?
First of all, the Oakland Raiders are trying to figure out if they're going to replace their right tackle. Now, I think one thing that you're kind of skipping over, we can talk Andrew Luck because everybody has loved him coming out of the draft. And he's had a great season, great career thus far. Injuries have played a factor. But let's not discount what Derek Carr has done this year. We can talk about the talent around him, Latavius Murray, which I think he's the X factor in this particular game. Amari Cooper, then also Crabtree, and then Roberts. These guys have stepped up their game. But let's talk about their offense. Their offense continues to push the ball down the field. The problem with Andrew Luck, he turns the ball over too much at the wrong time. And we can talk so much about this team. This Oakland Raiders team understands the magnitude of this game, and not only that, when was the last time we talked about the Oakland Raiders being relevant? Don't you think Jack Del Rio has continued to push that in the minds of this Oakland Raiders football team? They have so many distractions out there with the football team. Is Aldon Smith coming back? Is he going to be out for the season? Can anybody else besides Khalil Mack and maybe Irving apply pressure to the quarterbacks? What's wrong with this secondary? Why can't they stop anybody down the field 20 yards or plus? But the thing about it with me is this football team understands what's going on and what they can do at this particular point. They're not battling anybody else like the Indianapolis Colts. They're focusing on the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to put themselves in a position where they can get a playoff game maybe at home. Will that happen? I don't think so. But when it comes to these two particular teams, you can't tell me that the Indianapolis Colts has a chance to win this game from what we've seen last week, the way they play, and they're so
that's exactly what I'm telling you. They absolutely have a chance to win this game.
Not at all.
Absolutely.
And then Derek Carr is playing much better than Andrew Luck.
Derek Carr is an MVP candidate this year. I want to make that very clear. He's excellent, and I'm a big fan. I am here to tell you Andrew Luck is a better player than Derek Carr.
You give him that whole line. You're always sitting there and softening it up. One thing, and then all of a sudden you come back with this. But please, you're always, I'm trying to tell you, you put Fred Astaire and the late, great Gregory Hines to shame, dancing around. Oh, Derek Carr's this, but Andrew Luck is that. And Andrew Luck is this, but Derek Carr is that. You're all over the place. The bottom line is this. Look, Donovan McNabb, here's the deal. Max Kellerman went on the air, and he said two very profound things before this year even began. Number one, Tom Brady would fall over a cliff within 18 months. Yes. And number two, Andrew Luck would be the league MVP. Wrong on both counts. Everybody in that grandmother.
Watch him make the playoffs.
And it's just that simple. It's all right, though, Max. It's all right. And by the way, Max, the whole lavender-looking shirt, I know you're trying to disguise the gray. Damn it, it ain't working. Back to football. Here's the deal.
It's flowing back.
This is the deal. In the end, what it comes down to is this. The Raiders have a running game.
Yes.
Indianapolis does not.
Yep.
And that's a big, big deal. And so when you look at it from that perspective, of course it's an NFL Sunday. Any given Sunday, anybody could win. But if you had to bet your money, you and everybody knows that it would be on the Raiders because thus far they have been better. Indianapolis has been every bit as mediocre as we would surmise. And more importantly, Max, I am tired of hearing about the offensive line with Andrew Luck. You know why? Because Grigson has now had 5 years to get this man a damn offensive line, and he can't do it.
So
how many years we gonna keep saying that?
Let me just make sure.
Saying that?
So if Andrew Luck has a big game and beats these mighty Oakland Raiders, which you guys don't think is going to happen because he doesn't have a running game, etc., and then he wins the next game and they make the playoffs, is he an MVP candidate? Yes or no? I'd like people.
No, not making the playoffs, and no, he won't be an MVP candidate.
Got it,
guys.
No.
Got it.
Guys, we got to get a break in. Donovan, want to wish you a very Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Whatever.
And we're so happy to have more of you in the new year.
Go in the
Merry
sunshine,
Christmas,
Donovan. Go in the
everybody.
sunshine.
Merry
Christmas.
Google Donovan.
Now I'm left
Go
with
in
two
the
Scrooges
sunshine,
for the rest of the show.
I hope it snows. I hope it snows there, Donovan. I hope it snows.
These two. Coming up next.